sometimes say I have a bad memory, and he says it's only because I haven't trained my brain. And that's really inexcusable for me. Limitless, what is that, Bradley Cooper? No, we're not talking to Bradley Cooper, but he was in that movie, right, where you took the pill?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you
I'm getting my phone number for these people are asking to join the book club, and so I'm going to tell you guys.
Well, are they going to, you don't give your phone number out in the middle of the thing.
Well, everyone's asking for the book club, so.
Okay, but don't put your phone number.
Yeah, I can do.
I see. Okay, all right, so. What do mothers know?
Yeah.
Mothers know nothing. Okay. Wow, I trained my brain, somebody else just said. So that is, the Sunday paper has it. That's right. The Sunday paper has this book for sale in its bookstore. You can go on and buy the book. He wrote for the Sunday paper this past Sunday, and it was very successful. So he wrote about an acronym that would help you remember to train your brain.
Oh, whoops.
And, whoa, what happened there? Anyway,
Pin comment, I pinned it. So if you guys want to join the book club, you're more than welcome to. You can text me, and no, it's not 1-800-Patrick, but yeah, we have a lot of you guys that are already watching have been part of the book club, and we just read a book, then go on Zoom and talk about it and kind of go over some of the principles and ideas that we learn in the book. And like a few people mentioned before, we just started Think and Grow Rich this week, and you're more than welcome to join.
And it's great because, Patrick, that was one of your New Year's goals, was to read more, because he didn't read it all. And now you're on your third or fourth book, so bravo.
Fourth, yes.
Oh, there, Limitless Appreciation from Jim Quick.
Yes.
So Jim Quick, we want to all support Jim Quick. We want to support his new book. It's his first book. Upgrade your brain, learn anything faster, and unlock your exceptional life. I want to unlock my exceptional.
There he is.
There is Jim Quick with the brain on his chest. There. Hi, Jim.
Hi, too. Thank you so much. And hello to everyone who's watching right now. And I'm excited about having this conversation. And thank you for making this available for everybody.
Well, we're super excited to talk about your new book. We're pushing it out because this is your first book, and you've really waited your whole life to do this book. And I know what a big deal it is to write a book and birth a book, so to speak. So first of all, congratulations for getting all of this into a book to benefit all of us. And you really believe that we can all upgrade our brain. Is that correct, Jim? Tell us how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. The subtitle of the book, Limitless, is Upgrade Your Brain, Learn Anything Faster, and Unlock Your Exceptional Life. And I believe that in a world of distraction, a world full of overload, a world that's driven by technology, we're born with the ultimate technology, which is our brain. The challenge is our brain doesn't come with an owner's manual. So if you feel like senior moments are coming way too early, if you feel like absent-minded, like maybe you read a page in a book and then just forget what you just read, or you misplace things like your wallet or your purse or your car keys, or if not your car keys, something larger like your car. You forget where you parked your car. Or you meet somebody, you get their name, and then seconds later the name just disappears out of your mind. As you mentioned, there's no such thing as a good or bad memory. There's a trained memory and an untrained memory. And after 28 years of teaching people how to upgrade their brain, I realized that it doesn't matter your age, your background, your career, your education level, your financial situation, your gender, your history, your IQ. None of that matters. What matters is that you make a choice. In fact, in the book, I mention a quote in this book that says, from a French philosopher saying, life is the C between B and D. Life is the C between B and D. And B stands for birth, D stands for death, C is choice. Life and happiness comes down to choices. And right now—
I like that. Let me remember that. Life is the C between B and D.
Yep.
And you taught me, Jim, which I think is a really good thing, that the memory is really associated with emotion. Yes. Can you explain to people about that? So when people are afraid, like I do this, when I go to park my car in a parking lot, I'm worried, uh-oh, I won't be able to find it. So how do you emotionally connect to where your car will be?
We realize with understanding the human mind that, information by itself is forgettable, but information combined with emotion becomes unforgettable. And you know this because think about a song. Is there a song that could bring you back to when you were a teenager?
Mm-hmm.
Or a fragrance or a food that could take you back to your childhood? Because information by itself is forgettable, but when you add emotion to it, it becomes unforgettable. It goes from your head into your heart. And Maya Angelou, one of my favorite poets, said that people will forget what you say, they'll forget what you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. People remember those feelings, and then we remember things emotionally. The challenge sometimes in school is the primary emotion most people felt, I'm curious as people post, is usually boredom, right? They fall asleep in class or they're confused. And, if information times emotion becomes a long-term memory, if boredom on a scale of 0 to 10 is probably a 0, anything times 0 is 0. And you wonder why you forgot a lot of the information you learned back in school. So when you could see something and you could feel it and hear it, you're more likely to remember it. And so adding emotion and feeling to your learning, all learning is state dependent for sure.
So how do you develop that emotion side? Because I was just like you were describing. Actually, before you got on, we were talking about how I used to hate reading. I never would read growing up, and now it was on my goals list this year to read a book a month every month, and to start a book club to kind of force myself to get into reading. And it used to always be that I didn't enjoy it. And now I'm blowing through books and really actually do love learning this information. So what's kind of the difference? How does someone like myself change from a few years ago in school being forced to read and hating it to now actually really loving it?
And isn't that amazing? Because I believe leaders are readers. Leaders are readers. That if somebody has decades of experience and they put it into a book, and you could read that book in a handful of days, you could download decades into days. Reading is to your mind what exercise is to your body. And so we believe that the more you read, you actually build your own brain power. And it's wonderful, wonderful mental exercise. We talk about physical fitness a lot and physical hygiene, but what about mental fitness and mental hygiene?
Right.
And so I think it's extremely important. And so I think a lot of people do not read as much. They're really good at buying books. Some people are really good at buying books, but that's a different skill set than reading a book. Yeah. Some people go on Amazon, they fill up their cart, and it sits on their shelf, and it becomes shelf help, not self-help.
Wow.
And so my goal for people is, I believe that there's some lies we tell ourselves. In the book, I talk about 7 lies to learning that globally we all accept. And a lie for me is an acronym, of course, to make it memorable. A lie is a limited idea entertained. It's not necessarily, so people come to me all the time. This book primarily was a book on methods, on how to remember names, how to read faster, how to focus and concentrate, how to learn languages, how to change your habits, the best brain foods. But I realize a lot of people know what to do, but they don't always do what they know. And one of those lies, limited idea entertained, that's really BS, their belief systems. If you have a belief, someone comes up to me at an event, they see me do a demonstration where I have 100 people stand up and I'll memorize all their names. Or recently at your event, I did that with numbers and words and memorized 50 numbers forwards and backwards. I always tell people I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's really possible, because the truth is you can do this too. And
you have said, Jim, that you think all of this technology, like nobody remembers anybody's address, nobody remembers any phone number, that it's actually caused what you're calling digital dementia.
It is. That's a new term in healthcare. Digital dementia is where we're outsourcing our memories to our smart devices, and our phones store information for us. And so think about, it keeps your to-dos, it keeps your calendars, it keeps all your phone numbers. Let me ask everybody a question. How many phone numbers did you know growing up?
It's so funny. I saw your article in the Sunday paper, and I memorized every single one of my friends, family, everybody's number when I was growing up. Yes. And I kind of challenged that question to myself. I haven't really learned any new numbers since those friends. And granted, I've kept the same kind of group of friends, but new people that have come into my life, I've never really even thought to learn their number. Right. I found that kind of such an interesting point of how I just rely, and same with spelling and same with other things, where the phone just kind of auto corrects you or just kind of gives you that helping hand, which in turn is not really helping your mind.
Exactly. It's kind of like nobody wants to, I don't want to memorize 200 phone numbers, but it's concerning that we've lost the ability to remember one, or a conversation we just had, or a PIN number, or passcode online, or something we just read, or someone's name we just met. And it's kind of like if we just relied on Uber or Lyft to take us 5 blocks when we could have walked it, or we always take the elevator instead of the stairs, there's a physical toll because we're not exercising our body. Well, there can be a mental toll called digital dementia, which is the high reliance on technology to do the remembering for you. And so we're not exercising the most important muscle, which is our brain. And so it could grow stronger just like your physical muscles, regardless of your age.
So somebody's out there right now, they're concerned about their memory, whether they're in their 20s or whether they're in their 60s, right? Probably people my age are a lot more concerned about their memory than people Patrick's age. So what should you do? How do you make that part of, like, I get up every day, I do my meditation, I exercise, and I'm supposed to do my brain training, but I just don't do it. I have to out myself, even though I'm focused on the brain. I do it sometimes, but I can't see it. And, you know, it kind of, I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, just like we want to move every single day, they say sitting is the new smoking. I mean, when your body moves, your brain grooves. So physical exercise is wonderful for your brain. You build up, when you move, you create brain-derived neurotrophic factors, which is like fertilizer for making new connections in your brain. And it actually helps you to live longer by training your brain. There was a study done on nuns who are living 80, 90, and above. Yeah. And the researchers wanted to find out what was their secret. And half of it had to do with their gratitude, their emotional faith. The other half, they were lifelong learners. And because they were always learning every day, it added years to their life. But not only that, life to their years. It was on the cover of Time magazine. They called it Aging with Grace. And so a couple of things that people can do right now to improve your memory. Let's say you want to remember someone's name. First of all, everyone do this. Like, everyone who's watching, do this with me. Shake out your dominant hand. And you can do this because you're only holding the phone.
No, we have a tripod. We don't even hold the phone anymore.
Okay, good. Make a fist and put it to your chin. No, where's your chin? And it's so interesting because
I was watching him.
So the first part to memory, a lot of people come to me all the time and they say, you know, Jim, I have a horrible memory, and they blame their retention, but it's not our retention, it's us paying attention.
Yeah.
And the art of memory is really the art of attention. Even when people watch our videos, and I think we've had like 300 million video views the past year or two, we talk about a morning routine, things you could do in the morning to jumpstart your memory, jumpstart your brain. Because I believe first you create your habits, then your habits create you. You create your habits of prioritizing your sleep and journaling and meditating and eating good foods and exercising, and those habits create you back. But if you want to win the day, you have to win that first hour of the day. Yeah. And there's certain things you could do to jumpstart your brain, and we talk about it in the book. But one of the things, very simple, it's interesting, brushing your teeth with the opposite hand.
Yeah, I do that.
Jim, I've been doing that as well, not by choice, but I had shoulder surgery, and I wasn't able to use my dominant hand for the first 6 weeks, and I had to brush my teeth and eat everything lefty, and I was shocked how uncoordinated and how annoying it was. But I remember you saying that, how great it was for your brain to activate and kind of stuff in the morning to use your opposite hand.
It does, because we know that if, God forbid, somebody has a stroke and they have...
And that's actually, let me just jump in, because somebody's asked that question who had a stroke on here. Yeah. One of those questions is, how do you activate your brain once you've had a stroke? So
great question. And so I teach this at the Cleveland Clinic Center for Brain Health, and we have a lot of mutual friends in the Alzheimer's research community that really support the book. And so when I'm training stroke victims or people who have early stage dementia, I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's, so that I'm especially appreciative for the great work you do at WHAM. If somebody has a stroke or head injury on their left side, if there's paralysis that manifests, it's usually on the opposite side of the body, because we know half of your brain controls the opposite side of your body. But it's not just a mind-body connection, there's a body-mind connection, that using your body in certain ways actually stimulates different parts of your brain. So if you use your opposite hand that you're not used to using, it actually stimulates neuroplasticity on the opposite side of your brain, which is great exercise. We find that the best readers, we have students online in 195 countries. We have the #1 education training podcast in the world. And so we have a lot of data. We find that the fastest readers are actually people that actually use both hands. They play a musical instrument or that forces them to engage both sides of their brains. But brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, not only will it build your brain power, there's a study done at Oxford University saying jugglers actually have bigger brains, that by learning how to juggle, it creates more white matter in your brain, which is amazing. Makes more
I do know.
resilient.
Yeah, he knows how to juggle. But another thing is, I was told, is not only alternating, as you said, to the non-dominant hand when you brush your teeth, or use the non-dominant hand when you're eating, but when you leave your house, go the opposite direction that you normally do. Shake yourself up a little bit.
The brain can make connections. So we've discovered more about the human brain in the past 10 years than the previous 1,000 years combined. And what we found is we're grossly underestimating our own capabilities. And so it's wonderful. Your brain grows the same way your body grows, because it's part of your brain. If you want to build a muscle, you give it novelty and you give it nutrition and sleep. Well, same thing with your mental muscles. You have to give it novelty in the form of some kind of exercise, then you give it proper nutrition, the brain foods. You know, our friend Dr. Lisa Mosconi talks about certain foods that are very neuroprotective. And so you can actually exercise your brain, but using your opposite hand, not only does it stimulate different connections in your brain, it forces you to be present. And your focus is your observation, your concentration is a muscle, just like distraction. So when you're forced to use your opposite hand, you can't be thinking about everything else, training your distraction. You have to be present to do that activity, and it trains you to be present in conversations. It trains you to be present and not distracted when you're reading, and so many other areas.
So I have a question, Jim. Actually, one person just asked, I think her name is Murphy here. Let's talk about right now. So many people are living at home, that are back at home, working at home. What are some things that people can do to jumpstart their day while doing all their work here?
I love this. So I use the metaphor that we are cocooning, because doesn't it feel like we're cocooning and we are going through a different life cycle? And when a caterpillar feels like, it's the end of its life, it's actually the beginning, because it becomes a butterfly. And while the beauty is in the butterfly, the growth happens in the cocoon. And so here are 5 really quick things you could be doing while you're cocooning. Because when you are physically distancing yourself, and I don't use socially distanced because we are being social right now, because I'm concerned for mental health when people are being mentally distant or emotionally distant or socially distant, but we're just being physically distant. But while you're alone, sometimes it's challenging because we're alone with our own thoughts. We're alone with our doubts. We're alone with our fears. We might be even feeling alone. And we know loneliness is an epidemic, and chronic stress, it actually shrinks your brain. And so 5 really quick things everybody could do, 5 C's. I always use acronyms, or I alliterate everything to make it very memorable. The first C, while you're cocooning, if you want to come out of this stronger and wiser and better off, the first C is clarity. Clarity. Because sometimes doesn't everyone feel like when you're going 100 miles an hour, you're not pausing to reflect on am I going in the right direction in my life? Right. You're not pausing. And right now, solitude is a wonderful time to self-reflect. And here's the magic question everybody should ask themselves. What's most important to me in life? What's most important to me in a career? What's most important to me in my relationships? And come up with those values, the things you treasure. And then ask yourself a secondary question. Are my actions every day, are they aligned with my values, or are they not? And that's why I'm sabotaging. I'm taking 1 step forward and 2 leaps back. And so understand your values, self-reflect, make sure, because I think part of the journey is self-awareness is a superpower. So clarity. Second C, care. We know self-care is not selfish. And again, not just physical hygiene, washing your hands. We know we should be sanitizing everything, but mental hygiene. One of the challenges right now is people's focus is on everything that's going wrong in the world. And I feel like it's important to know what's going on, obviously, so you can make good decisions. But you want to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. A thermometer, it's only...
Wait a minute. I want to be a thermostat, not a thermometer.
Yeah, it's a metaphor.
When it comes in, you're getting it right back to that 70, 80 degrees.
Right. So a thermometer just reacts to the environment. And sometimes we are very reactive. We react to the economy. We react to how people treat us. We react to things. But if we're going to feel truly fulfilled and happy, a thermostat doesn't react to the environment. A thermostat gauges intelligently what's going on, but then it sets a new temperature and the environment reacts on it. And so what I would say is, just like Instagram has an algorithm, like if you comment or like every cat post, it's going to show you a lot more cats, right? And your mind has that same algorithm. Yes. If you're always watching what's dark and what can hurt you, then all of a sudden your newsfeed in your mind is just all that darkness. The challenge is you're not focusing on possibility. You're not focusing on what you'd be grateful for. And you're not focusing on the things, opportunity, and so on. So be conscious of what we're feeding our mind, because as viruses and fear is contagious, so is positivity, so is compassion, so is wisdom, so is kindness. And all those things are free. So sprinkle kindness everywhere. So that's care. The third C really quickly is contribution. Contribution, meaning that the antidote to fear, chronic fear actually makes you more susceptible to colds and flus and viruses. And so the antidote to fear is service. So contribution is, where can I invest my time, my talent, my treasure to make a difference? Because when you focus on somebody else, you can't help but feel better about yourself. So how can you uniquely do that? Maybe it's even something simple like checking in on a loved one, or checking on an elderly neighbor who might need food or companionship. You know, for us, we're donating 100% of our proceeds for the book to contribute to education and research. But how can you uniquely contribute? And then finally, the last two C's is, first, you have clarity, care, contribution. You have creativity. I mean, this is a wonderful time to be creative. If you happen to have some time, what have you always wanted to create? That blog, that music, that poetry, that book. You know, it was when the Great Plague that William Shakespeare wrote Macbeth and Anthony Cleopatra. It was during the Great Plague where they shut down London University and Isaac Newton had to go home. And that's when the apple fell on his head and he came up with the theories of gravity and motion. But what can we create during this time? And then finally, the last C is capability. Capability. You have a to-do list, but you talk about a lot. What's on your to-be list, your to-feel list, and also your to-learn list. You know, and so what have you always wanted to learn? Because we have unfettered access to the world's information. You want to learn Spanish, you want to learn salsa, you want to learn coding, you want to learn speed reading. There are podcasts and YouTube. So what can you, and if you don't have to spend 8 hours doing these things, 10 minutes on just reading something new, 10 minutes on contribution, 10 minutes on self-care, you know, taking care of yourself. They all add up, because little by little, a little becomes a lot.
I love all those C's. You have this whole, another acronym, you said, remember MOM, motivation, observation, and methods. And that really, if people get up, I think your whole thing is, if you get up every day and think about methods, motivation, your abilities, and just think about your brain instead of just thinking about everything you have to do. How can you nurture it? How can you feed it? How can you train it? That it, in fact, will in the end work better for you, correct?
Absolutely. A lot of times limitless is not about being perfect. It's about progressing beyond what you currently believe is possible. And my message for people is don't shrink your dreams to fit this current situation. Instead of that, don't downgrade your dreams to fit this current situation. Upgrade your mindset, your motivation, the methods you're using to be able to meet your dreams and your destiny.
Do you believe that every person can actually get a good memory?
I do. Having taught this for 28 years of my life, this book is not only based on the latest neuroscience applied towards learning and memory and retention and focus, but it's also just field testing, working with children with severe learning challenges to aging adults on the brink of dementia. You know, you see that there's patterns and that genius leaves clues, and just everybody can improve. They just have to get over the lies. We feel like we're in this box that's made up of other people's expectations or of these beliefs. Well, I had a very severe brain injury when I was 5 years old, and I had learning challenges because of it. When I was 9, I was slowing down in class, and I was being teased by my classmates, and the teacher said, "That's the boy with the broken brain." And that label became my limit. It put me into that box. Because, and here's the thing, people come to me all the time and say, "Jim, I have a horrible memory. Jim, I'm too old." And I say, stop. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. Yes, that your brain is like a supercomputer and your self-talk is the program it will run. So if you tell yourself, "I'm not good at remembering names," you will not remember the name of the next person you meet, because you program your supercomputer not to. Your mind is always eavesdropping on your self-talk.
So true. I was just reading this morning the Think and Grow Rich book for our book club, and he was talking about that, the auto-suggestion, always auto-suggesting something in the positive, optimistic side of what you're capable of doing, and that will continue to reap those exact rewards. But on the contrary, if you limit yourself and bring those thoughts into your mind, and you auto suggest that, it will continue to bring those negative sides as well. So I totally agree with that. Jim, what's one thing that everyone can leave here right now and go and do, to just a 1 minute, 2 minute, whatever thing that they can go and do to better their day and better their mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would focus on for everybody who's watching this right now is your routine. I really think small, simple steps are the key to success. That if you have struggled with procrastination or you can't motivate yourself, really the formula for motivation I talk about in the book is this: P times E times S3. P times E times S3. And I know it's a little bit of math, but P is, let's think about an area where we don't feel motivated. P is purpose. So I would say is remember to feel the benefits of that activity. If you're not working out, or if you're not eating right, or you're not prioritizing sleep, feel the benefits and rewards that come from doing those things. And also allow yourself to feel the consequences of not doing it. I have an acquaintance who just would not change their lifestyle. You know, they were smoking, they were eating bad food, they weren't prioritizing sleep, they weren't exercising. And one day they had a heart attack and triple bypass surgery, and they still didn't change their life. And it wasn't until, and then all of a sudden I saw them years later, and they were just fit and happy and a total transformation. I said, what happened? And he said, you know, my daughter came up to me one day, you know, my little girl, and said, I want you to be there for my, you know, to be with my children, to be with your grandchildren, walk me down the aisle. And that he felt, and he changed his lifestyle. So that's the P, is purpose. The E, energy. Because some people they have their purpose, they know what they should do, but they don't have the energy because they didn't sleep 3 nights in a row because they have a newborn, or they're so stressed with what's going on in the world and they're not sleeping, or they had a big processed meal and they're in a food coma, so they're not motivated to read that day. But the last thing is small, simple steps. That maybe it's not working out for an hour, maybe it's putting on your running shoes, a small, simple step, or maybe it's not reading an hour a day, maybe it's just opening up the book. Or, you know, maybe it's not flossing all your teeth, maybe it's flossing 1 tooth, because you're not going to stop. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's way too hard. And consistency compounds. Little by little, a little becomes a whole lot.
It creates a lot of momentum.
Yes, very much.
Just remember and finally remember MOM, motivation, observation, and methods.
Well, thank you so much. This is Jim Quick with the new book, Limitless. Jim, where can everybody learn more about you and the book?
Absolutely. The book is available right now on limitlessbook.com. We give people a 10-day speed reading memory focus program just as a thank you, because I want to make this the most read book on your shelf. Maybe it's not the most bought book, but I'm going to show you how to read it, because I feel like a lot of people don't read because they're not good at it. And in psychology, there's a competence loop, that the more competent you get at something, the more confident you are. That I don't play a lot of golf, but if I could play like a Tiger Woods or somebody, I would play a lot more. But people aren't great readers. And so I show people how to read with this course at limitlessbook.com. And then also social media. I would challenge everybody right now to take a small, simple step. Actually screenshot this live and tag Maria, tag Patrick, tag myself at Jim Quick, post it, and share one little thing, because when you want to learn something, learn it to teach it. So what are you going to do? One small thing in your care, in your contribution, your creativity, in your capabilities, in any area of your life. If you got some value out of it, post that, and I'll actually repost some of my favorites and send one random person a signed copy of the book. And before we go, Maria, I want to thank you for what you do. You know, I had the opportunity to participate in one of your amazing events and fundraisers, and I know today, especially when we're talking about Giving Tuesday, for the great work that you do. And I would love to actually, I know I got an email from your organization talking about fundraising. It's such an important topic. I mentioned I lost my grandmother to dementia, Alzheimer's. So I would love actually to donate $5,000 from this book's sales to your organization.
Wow.
A minimum of $5,000, just as a thank you for the great work you do. And I hope people would go there and do whatever you can, because that's the power of contribution. A little by little, a little becomes a lot. So anything you could do, it's such important work, especially for women, because as you know, they're twice as likely to experience it, you know, than men. And we know a lot, most of the brains that were studied are male brains and male treatments. And so I'm such a big, I'm so grateful for everything that you do. And so thank you for that.
I want to thank, wow, that's so great. I want to thank you. The Women's Alzheimer's Movement thanks you, and all the researchers that we fund. Thank you. I know many of them supported your book. Dr. Lisa Mosconi in New York, and Rudy Tanzi, I know, who's a great friend I spoke with this morning. All of these researchers that we're funding. So thank you for helping us so much, because as you well know, it's tough out there for nonprofits these days. So thank you. And I hope everybody buys this book, starts brushing their teeth with their dominant hand, tags him, learns how to read quickly.
I'm going to go floss my front 2 teeth right now. It's inch by inch. It's a cinch.
And you can learn, your book club can speed read.
Yeah,
you can.
We'll do this book next, and you can come on and teach some of the people in our book club about how to speak.
That would be an absolute honor. So everyone who purchases a book, we'll do a special private book club and Q&A for everyone in your organization. My final words are that your life is like an egg, that if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if it's broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things begin on the inside. And you have, everyone watching this, you know, you have greatness inside of you. You have genius inside of you. It's not how smart you are, how smart your kids are. It's not how smart you are, it's how are you smart. And that's really the message here. School teaches you what to learn, but they don't necessarily show you how to learn. And that's the goal of this book, is to be a manual, owner's manual for your brain. The best morning routine, the best brain foods, how to change your habits, how to learn languages, you know, how to be able to do these things, because you have power inside of you and you're smarter than you think.
Thank you,
Thank
Jim.
you so much, Jim. We appreciate it. I think a lot of people loved listening to you, got to learn a lot, but most importantly, they could take a quick 1 or 2 things to go and do right away this afternoon, tomorrow morning, whatever that is. So I'm glad we left some of these followers and listeners of today's conversation with something to do, to impact their mind, to impact their life.
I love that she said, Jody says, he just blew my mind, so knowledgeable. So he blew everybody's mind today, including ours. So
mind blown. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim, so much. God bless you. Thank you, and good luck with the book.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. He's
oh boy, my mind is blown as some of those other people are. I need to go floss my front 2 teeth. I need to get my running shoes on, since I have just my socks on right now. What?
Oh my gosh.
He said inch by inch. We got to make some movements. So.
I love the way he always has those acronyms. He's very smart. And I told him when I first met him, I don't have a really good memory. And he did some work with me. And boom, he got me memorizing the 10 best brain foods, because he connects the foods to emotion, or he connects whatever it is to emotion. So if you're trying to find your car, you think of a color, you think of a number, and what that number, where the parking lot is, and what that number meant to you. I'm on the 4th floor. I have my memory of when I was 4, and all of a sudden you remember, oh, when I was 4, my car's on the 4th floor. Yeah,
and how much kind of that emotion impacts your memory. And like he was saying before, to have that purpose. And when you have that real purpose and you connect the emotion, like the story of the guy who had the, I think it was a stroke. And, and then his daughter finally came and said, I really hope you come down the aisle with me, and how much everything just shifted in that moment for him, because he connected the emotion to his overall purpose. So I think that the acronyms are great. The quick takeaways that you can do are great. And remember, just like Jim said, you don't have to go and run the marathon tomorrow. You don't have to go run a mile. As long as you start with something small, it will create that momentum for the future. And obviously practice makes perfect. The more repetitions you do, the more you'll live like that. The smarter your brain will get, the more you'll be capable of. So go out there, floss your front 2 teeth tonight, like I will do.
No, okay, yeah, you can start with 2, and then you can work your way back. But the book is limitless. He is a tireless supporter of the brain, and he teaches so many great videos, and he's really such a supportive guy. And I want to thank him for donating to the Women's Alzheimer's Movement.
Yeah, that was amazing.
On Giving Tuesday, which funds the research. As he said, so much of the research that we have today has all been done on men. And so therefore, when women go to try to ask questions about their health, especially women as they age, don't have any answers because we don't have any research.
Yep.
So,
well, a few other people are asking quickly what the name of the book was, so we'll send that out right now. It's Limitless by Jim Quick. Thank you again, Jim.
Broken. I mean, it comes up backwards.
Oh, it comes up backwards. That's why. Limitless.
Limitless.
Well, we put it up backwards so that you guys, we challenge your mind to know that is it limital or is it limitless?
That's good.
It's a challenge.
That's good. I love that, Patrick. Oh, you're getting so good at this.
I'm just getting smarter and smarter.
Tomorrow
guys.
we have Bob Roth who runs the David Lynch Foundation, extraordinary TM teacher. They've started an incredible program of meditation for all our healthcare professionals. He's out there doing that. He's actually the person who taught me how to meditate. And
Oh,
if
man.
anybody could have taught me how to meditate, they got to be like really special.
I
Get
need that.
this instead.
Au revoir, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Bye-bye.